Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Andrea Blankenship. I work at Watson MST, and my partner is Sophia Nunez from Golden Meadows. We are here today to talk about how to assess outside of the bubble and do something different with your kids. So I'm coming from the perspective of someone who has quite a bit of technology in my classroom, and we use it pretty much daily. But what we're going to be talking about today is something you can do regardless of the amount of technology you have access to. This is something you can do on PCs in your classroom, a mobile cart that comes through your building, or even in the computer lab. So I hope that you will learn something new that you can start practicing with your students quickly. So I'm going to talk about Google and 3 tools within Google that you can use. I'm going to focus particularly on Google Slides, Google Drawings, and Google Forms. I think that you'll find that as kids get on technology, and surely you've all experienced this, that kids are much more excited to share their knowledge when it's not just the same old paper and pencil. So the things that we're going to be looking at today will really get your kids involved in sharing what they know differently. We're going to be covering ISTE standard number 1, which is the empowered learner. And when your kids are creating something and showing you their knowledge, they are an empowered learner because they are in charge of what they're showing you. So join me today, and we're going to navigate onto my screen, and we're going to take a look at Google. And let's take a look. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to make sure that in order to access tools, slides, and drawings, we need to be inside of our Google Drive. So in order to do this, you've got to get yourself logged in and just go to that main page of your Google Drive, and all of our things will be located up at the top left corner of your screen under this button called New. So I'm going to start with Google Drawings. So at first I wasn't quite sure how I would use it in my room, but let's start here by clicking on New. Head down to the More button, and Google Drawings is right here. You're going to get a blank screen. It's kind of gray checkered, and you have so many options. You can change the background color. You can get creative with what you put on this page. I just want you to know up front, though, that it is just a one-page document. So it's different from a slideshow, whereas you cannot keep adding new ones. This is a single-page document. So in order to create more drawings and make it part of one large product that your kids might be working on, you may have them take a screenshot if they make a Google drawing, and then they can add multiples to make a presentation. Typically, I use this for just one small assignment, and I'm just going to kind of navigate real quickly. I always start with a shape. I teach reading and ELA and social studies, so a lot of times I'll use this in my room for sequencing, or I'll use it for like a character web. But I see tons of ways you could use this with math, and you can see up here that you've got all the different shapes. You can use different equations. This would be great for few quick math problems that your kids can show you just in a creative way rather than the paper pencil. So one way that I use this frequently is just, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time because you'll see how easy it is to navigate. You can type your words in the boxes. Do a little timeline, add your arrows. You just choose where you want it. I have to move mine around all the time, but you can see the gist of how simple it is to add your shapes. You can add a text box. You could put the title of your product, move it around. You can change the colors. It's pretty easy to navigate. I really like this one. So one that we've been doing in my class here recently is character webs, and we're studying a novel, so I chose a character, and the kids will be completing this assignment for me in the next week or so, but it's just, I think the kids are much more involved when you put them on here. They can create shapes, make colors that look exciting, and not just do it on a sheet of paper as they've done in the past. So this is an example of a character web. I'm going to show you one more example of a finished product. This is one where kids talked about a novel again, and I'm sorry, I'll refer to ELA a lot just because that's my experience. But you can see they pulled pictures in from the Google Drive. Some they had saved there, they went and copy and pasted. They took pictures of the front of their novels, and they talked about characteristics of their, I just love all the options that you have. You can really do quite a bit in Google Draw with the colors and the background. And so I find it really useful for kids who are doing just not the same old thing on pencil paper anymore. Okay, so if I were going to assign my kids a Google Drawing thing, I like to go into the Classroom. And if you're not familiar with Classroom, it's quite simple. Again, you have to be in your Google Drive, but I'll show you how I would create this assignment for students. Click on More and go down to the Classroom. I've got several created already, but if you don't have a Classroom already created, once you click on the Classroom icon, you would just go up to this plus sign, and by clicking there, you can set up a classroom very easily. And I'll show you what it would be. You can do create a class, and I might name this sample class, and I can do create. So then in order to get people to sign up for my class, I click on this little tab that says students, and I get a classroom code. Now, in working with younger elementary, it might be easier for teachers to sign up their students by typing in their Google email address, but I find with third grade and up, it's so much easier to post this class code, and all you have to do is have kids log into their Drive, click on the plus sign just like you did to create a class, and they can put this code in, and they'll have access to everything that you've got posted. So real quickly, since this whole topic is not about Google Classroom, here's how I would add the assignment if I wanted them to do a Google Draw. So I would put on here character web, and then for instructions, I would just tell them to add a Google Drawing assignment and turn in to the classroom. So once kids created that draw, all they would need to do was to go click on a button like this to their Drive, add their completed assignment, and then they would, on the student end, instead of saying assign, it would say turn in, and that's how I would receive their work. So I really love using Google Draw. The kids like it, and they're so creative with what they can open up on there. It amazes me every time they create something different. So just to wrap up, make sure you're in your Drive, click on New, hover over More till you get to Google Drawings, and that gives you your blank template. And it's quite simple, and there are tons of options with colors and shapes, and this is how you get to Google Draw. Next, I'm going to show you how to get onto Google Slides. And again, for this particular assignment, you would need to be in your Google Drive already, just like this. I think Slides is pretty similar to PowerPoint on your PCs, and it's very user-friendly. And anytime we have presentations, I find that it's super easy and very accessible for students to get on here and go to Google Slides. I love that everything done in the Drive it can be worked on at home, can be worked on at school, and so anything that I'm assigning in here, they have access to anytime they've got internet connectivity. So to do our Google Slides, we click on New again and go right there to Google Slides, and you'll see that you've got a blank one. So here's the best thing about Google Slides that I loved when I was using it at first. If you go over here, it says Slides Home on the top left. If you click on this, I love that it gives you ideas of ways that you can use Google Slides for presentations, field trips, and it gives you a whole format for how your kids could complete something, a book report template, science project, photo albums, or then again, you know, they can just create their own blank one and start from scratch. I love Google Slides. So let me click back over to the drive and I will show you one that I have, sample of Google Slides. I used one of the templates actually, and what a better way to do a book report or talk about a field trip than make a quick presentation in slides. And this being a template, all kids have to do is come in and change up the wording. This is so nice when you're brand new and you're trying to figure out how to navigate through this new program. So I really love this, and again, if kids follow this template, they really can't go wrong. They could also create their own from scratch, and you saw that when we were over here in the Google Slides thing. I'm going to show you one that a few kids did here. It was published in our building last year, and our students made a very short little weekly, they called it Whatever Watts, and it was like a little newspaper for our school, and they just came in very basic, added a few pictures, their titles, and the kids were super excited about a presentation that they could do easily, and they did this in like 30 minutes. They made this each week. So Google Slides is super user-friendly and easy for kids. Be sure when you come back to this later, if you're stuck on what to do, that you use the templates, and it's just a really good way to get started. And so to recap there, make sure that you're in your drive. Go to New, Google Slides. It's really easy. And then here again are other templates you can use. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is Google Forms. And let's see, let's slide over back to Google Drive. Everything that we're talking about is accessible through the Drive today. So Forms is one that has many, many options. Again, if you click on New, you're going to come over here and hover over this, and you can go to Google Forms right here. I found that they all start out looking the same, just like this, but there are lots of options for how to create one that's personal to you. You can change your color palette. If you go to your settings, you can limit things like student responses. Can they edit an answer after they submit one? I use this typically for multiple choice quizzes. I've used it for surveys. As a matter of fact, this is a really great way to have an exit ticket for your class. If you've had a lesson that day and you just want a quick response from each student, it's a really good way to get that exit ticket. So I love about Forms, that if you click, let me go back to the Drive again and show you how to get to that little portion. New, Forms, and then if I hit back, I love that it gives me templates again. I use this exit ticket one quite a bit because it's already done and it's really easy to modify. Before you leave class today, answer the following questions. All they have to do is put their name, and I don't have them do the email when I do it, and you can see that there are buttons up here that you can hover over. You can delete little sections like that. It's just really user-friendly. Thank you. And then you'll see that you can respond real fast. So this is a great way for someone who has never used Google Forms before, is by using these templates. And I'm really big on all of the templates. Here's a worksheet assignment. They have assessments, a course evaluation. We use it with our staff members quite a bit in our building as well. All right, let me see if I can get back to some of the sample ones that I made. So one that I did was for a novel that I'm doing in class, and I want you to see the types of answers that you can create. So you can do one like a scale where they rate something. You can do short answer. You can do 1, 2, or 3, a multiple choice. You can even do long answer like a paragraph. And here's how you would set one up. So if I want to start a question, I just go to the little plus sign here on forms and you can add a question. And then over here to the side, you have the options of what types of questions you want to do. And it's pretty easy to add one. So if I wanted to add a paragraph, I type that in there and I'm going to give whatever the question is. Please write a summary. Over chapter 2. And then it gives them plenty of space to go here. I always make sure that I click required, because if I'm giving students a quiz or I want to know an answer, I need them answering it for me. So I would click required. And if I decide later that I don't like this question so much, I click on whichever one I decide I don't need, and I can delete it pretty easily. It's very user-friendly. You can add a section on Google Forms. So if you want to do, recently we did a unit on regions and states and capitals. So you could create a section of your test quizzing over states and capitals, and then I could add a new section and I could quiz them on the names of the regions there. So I kind of had a separation going on. Something else that's pretty neat on forms, if you hover over this, you can add a video clip. So if you've created one somewhere and you've got it saved in your drive or to your computer, you can add a video here. You can use a YouTube clip and then have them write a written response after you've done that. You can include images or pictures and put that on your form. You can ask questions that way. Add titles and descriptions on different portions. I think that it's pretty limitless in Google Forms, and I haven't even accessed all of it myself yet. But Google Forms is pretty extensive. I also like that there's a way to do grid answers, so you could use this for math. There's linear scale, multiple choice grid. There are just tons and tons of options on here. Okay, so somebody had asked a couple minutes ago about how would I set this up in a classroom. I'm going to go back to the classroom that I created earlier. And Sophia, what was the question about setting up something in a classroom? What was the question about setting up something in the classroom?
Just if you want to create another class.
Oh, sure. So if I have a sample class here and I want to have an additional one, I'll go back to mine and show you how many I have set up in case this helps someone. So under classroom, I have multiple ones since I teach social studies and ELA, and then I have different cores that I teach. So I have a social studies for one class, and I've got social studies for my homeroom here. And I think something really cool about using the classroom is when I create a new assignment, I don't have to create it for every single class I have. I can create it one time and share it with my classrooms. So if I went into my social studies class for my homeroom, up here at the top, it says, who is it for? I would just click on my drop down and it gives me all of the choices of every single classroom that I've got open. So if I wanted it to be Blankenship Social Studies, I could click on my partner teacher's homeroom and assign the same thing to them. It's really nice to just have to do it one time. I'll scare my kids tomorrow with a sample assignment. Sample assignment, I can pick a due date. I'll say that it's due on Friday, and I can add a worksheet if I've got it on there. I can add a picture or a video to make the assignment, and then I click assign, and you'll see that it pops up in the classroom. And the nice thing is, it's also in my other classroom as well. So if I went back over here, same thing showed up in the other class that I specified as well. Excuse me. I know I've gone rather quickly through these and I have trouble not talking slow enough, so I hope the examples have been helpful. I hope that you'll be able to incorporate at least one of these into your classroom in the next few weeks. I think slides are a really good place to start because it's so similar to PowerPoint. But drawings are really fun and it's a great way to get your kids involved quickly in what you're doing. But the forms, I think, as a teacher, make life pretty simple if you need a quick assessment or that exit ticket. I really love to use it for that. So there are many resources that can help you navigate your way through Google and all the things that Google has to offer. And I'll tell you that most of the help I've gotten is from logging on to Atomic Learning. And there are videos. I know the Google Forms one, I've probably watched multiple videos from Atomic Learning just helping me guide my way through how to set up a Google form. But there are step-by-step instructions that way. And something else that I really like is if you will do a search for Classroom Guru, it's like all things Google and all things Google Classroom. There are click sheets that will show you how to set up a classroom. And it will give you a step-by-step, like a 5-minute video and then a click sheet that goes with it. And the same thing for everything within the Google Drive. Classroom Guru is really a great resource for helping you go back later. I know it's easy when you look at someone do it, but when you have to go back and create your own, click sheets are always really helpful to me. So if there are any questions, I'll see if I can answer a couple of those really quickly before we're done for today. Please make sure that you click on the link in just a minute that will give you credit for watching this webcast today. And Sophia has been really good at moderating. So if there's any other questions, if you will leave them in this chat, or if you will go, I'm going to click back on this sample classroom. I'm going to go to students. If you want to join this Google Classroom that I just created with this link right here, you can post comments in here, and if there's anything that I could answer Google Classroom related or with any of the 3 topics I covered today, I will be sure to respond to those comments. I have no trouble with that. And also you can follow me on Twitter at Blanke, BLANKE 05. I would love to help you if I could. So thanks for joining us today. Please feel free to ask any questions, and I hope that you'll be able to get started in one of these programs that we talked about today. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you all have a great evening. Did you get a chance to post the link, Sophia? Perfect. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.